Welcome to Drinking in the Duat, a podcast where we explore the intricate threads of mythology, folklore, and the human psyche. I'm your host, M. Dylan Blair, your resident mythologist. Today, we're delving into one of humanity's most enduring mysteries, the underworld and the afterlife. For as long as humans have been able to tell stories, we've been obsessed with what happens after we die. Is there a paradise, a place of punishment, a realm of shadow where souls linger? The concept of an underworld appears in nearly every culture, from ancient Egypt to Mesoamerica, from Norse mythology to Hindu belief. These stories are often not just about death, but about life, how we live it, the choices we make, and the consequences of those actions. They reflect our deepest fears, our greatest hopes, and our endless curiosity about the unknown. Across these various mythologies, time after time, we find a spectrum of beliefs. The Greek underworld, ruled by Hades, where the dead are sorted into realms of eternal reward or punishment. The Egyptian Duat, a labyrinthian journey of trials and tests, culminating in judgment by the god Osiris. The Norse Hel, a cold and shadowy domain for those who don't die gloriously in battle, and many others, like the layered underworld of the Aztec Mictlan, or the cycle of reincarnation presided over by the Hindu god Yama. Because of our divided focus and time constraints, I've tried to put the most pertinent information at the forefront. Each of these places could easily take up its own episode and its own hour. In today's episode, we'll begin by exploring the Greek and Egyptian views of the afterlife, diving deep into the realms of both Hades and the Duat. We'll also touch on how other cultures, like the Norse and the Aztecs, envision the journey of the soul. Along the way, we'll uncover the universal themes of morality, justice, and transformation that tie these myths together. And we'll discuss how these ancient ideas still resonate with us today as human beings. So grab your coins for the ferryman, pack your Book of the Dead, and prepare to descend into the shadows, because the underworld is calling. Welcome to Drinking in the Duat, a podcast where the ancient meets the eternal, and the myths of yesterday reveal the truths of today. From the mysteries of the underworld to the whispers of forgotten gods, we delve into the myths, legends, and beliefs that shaped humanity's spirit. So pour yourself a drink and join us on a journey through time, faith, and the stories that bind us all. I hope you're ready. Welcome to Drinking in the Duat. I'm your host and resident mythologist, M. Dylan Blair. Across the weeks, we'll explore the various magic and mythos that have bound our world, both seen and unseen, together for millennia. Whether you're a lifelong learner or just getting around to finally paying attention, we've got you covered. And if we're lucky, you might learn a few things along the way. Thanks for joining in. Show notes and a link to our Patreon are available wherever you found this podcast. Now, on to the show. The Greek underworld is one of the most well-known and richly detailed afterlife concepts in mythology. Whether it's because of pop culture or a primary or secondary school lesson, ancient Greece has kept our attention. In the American education system, students get an overview. For some, it's more than enough. But for others, like myself, and hopefully you as well, it can never be enough. The Greek underworld wasn't just a place for the wicked. It was a final destination for all souls, regardless of how they lived their lives. Unlike many modern perceptions of hell, the underworld in Greek mythology wasn't solely a place of torment, but a complex realm where the dead were sorted based on their deeds in life. At its helm was Hades, both the name of the god and the realm itself. Hades, the brother of Zeus and Poseidon, ruled the shadowy domain. Unlike his more thunderous or tempestuous siblings, Hades was the black sheep of his family, reserved, somber, and focused on maintaining order in the underworld. Crazy, right? Though he's often viewed as grim, the man wasn't evil per se. His role was essential to keeping balance between life and death. After all, you wouldn't want the dead rising up against us in the land of living, would you? Now, managing the land of the dead was complicated, as any leader would tell you. We can't just have the virtuous mixing with the heretical, can we? Shout out on an upcoming podcast if you know the reference. Because of this fact, Hades had to be divided up, both bureaucratically and on the physical plane. So that's where we'll begin today, in Hades. Sorry, y'all. If taking a field trip to hell wasn't on your bingo card for 2025, you might want to tap out. Still here? Everybody on board? Okay, great. Now, to get into Hades, we must first cross the River of Oaths. Styx, one of the most famous rivers of the underworld, both then and now. It was said to circle Hades 9 times. It was both a physical boundary and a spiritual barrier between the living and the dead. Gods themselves swore unbreakable oaths upon the Styx, with dire consequences for those who dared violate their word. Fun fact, people, the Greek word Styx means shuddering. This was a place you did not tread lightly into. To cross the Styx, souls needed a special coin, also known as an obol, to be placed in their mouth at burial as payment to Charon, the ferryman. Without this offering, the soul was doomed to wander the shores of the underworld for eternity. A powerful reminder of the importance of proper burial rites in Greek society. Once across the banks, you'd be greeted by the goodest boy, a 3-headed dog the size of a Mack truck, Cerberus. That's a whole lot of pepperoni. Now, this loyal pup guarded the gates of Hades, ensuring that no living being entered without permission and that no soul escaped. This fearsome creature was as much as a symbol of protection as it was of the inescapable nature of death. Assuming that you brought enough snacks to make it through the gate, the Greek underworld was stratified, which means different regions for different souls. The first was Elysium, also known as the Fields of the Blessed, reserved for the most virtuous and heroic individuals. Elysium was seen as a paradise of eternal peace and joy. Here, souls who lived exemplary lives could spend eternity free from strife. The second was the Asphodel Meadows, a resting place for ordinary souls who neither committed great evils nor extraordinarily good deeds. The Asphodel Meadows were a neutral, shadowy expanse where souls wandered aimlessly. And the third was Tartarus, a dark abyss of torment reserved for the wicked and for titans who defied the gods. Tartarus was not just a place of punishment, but also a prison for those who threatened the cosmic order. Across history, Greek literature provides vivid depictions of the underworld. From Homer's Odyssey, where Odysseus journeys to consult the prophet Tiresias, to Virgil's Aeneid, where Aeneas descends into Hades to seek guidance. These stories portray the underworld not as a chaotic void, but as an orderly realm reflecting the moral and social structures of the living world. In modern times, Hades and his realm have inspired countless works of art and media. From the romanticized interpretations of Hades and Persephone in literature and pop culture, like Scarlett St. Clair's fictional take, to video games like Hades by Supergiant Games, the Greek underworld continues to captivate audiences. It serves as a reminder that death isn't just an end. It's a journey, an exploration of what lies beyond the mortal coil. The Greek underworld's complexity and structure offers a striking blend of fear, reverence, and curiosity, reflecting humanity's struggle to understand the mystery of death. Next, we'll explore another labyrinthian realm where gods weigh hearts and serpents guard the gates. My personal favorite, and our namesake, the Egyptian Duat. For ancient Egyptians, the afterlife was central to their religious beliefs, a concept deeply rooted in their understanding of cosmic order, morality, and the perpetual cycles of life and death. Unlike many other cultures that viewed the afterlife as a static destination, the Egyptians imagined it as a challenging journey, a perilous odyssey through the Duat, a shadowy realm filled with trials, tests, and ultimately, divine judgment. To them, death was not an end, but a transition to another phase of existence. The afterlife was a continuation of life, but only for those who adhered to Ma'at, the divine principle of truth, balance, and justice. Ma'at wasn't merely a goddess, but an ideal, an embodiment of harmony that governed both the natural world and our own human behavior. To ensure a favorable afterlife, individuals needed to live righteously, honoring Ma'at in their deeds, words, and hearts. This emphasis on balance extended to the journey after life. Souls were not automatically granted paradise. They had to prove their worth by navigating the Duat, a journey that tested their moral fiber and spiritual resilience. So for my gamers listening in, I hope you're all stocked up, because this is the point of no return. The Duat, or the Egyptian underworld, was a labyrinthian and treacherous realm. It was imagined as a shadowy, otherworldly expanse filled with rivers, lakes of fire, shifting sands, and guarded gates. The geography of the Duat was not fixed. It could change depending on the myth or text. It was a physical place as much as it was a metaphysical representation of the challenges the soul faced after death. At the heart of this realm rode Osiris, the god of the dead and king of the afterlife. Osiris represented rebirth and resurrection, a deity who presided over judgment and ensured that Ma'at was upheld in the realm of the dead. He was often depicted as a mummified figure, holding the crook and flail, symbols of both kingship and discipline. But getting to him wasn't easy. The journey through the Duat was fraught with danger, even with Anubis guiding us. The deceased soul, or Ka, had to pass through 12 gates, each representing an hour of the night and guarded by fearsome deities. These gates were not mere barriers, they symbolized spiritual tests that challenged the soul's courage, wisdom, and adherence to Ma'at. One of the most formidable obstacles was Apep, also known as Apophis, a serpent of chaos. Apep represented disorder and destruction, a constant threat to the balance of Ma'at. The soul, often aided by spells from the Book of the Dead, would have to battle or evade this fearsome creature. The journey, if successful, culminated in the Hall of Two Truths, where the most critical test awaited, the weighing of the heart ceremony. Not only would one have to stand before the 42 lesser judges of the Duat, but also Lord Osiris himself. Think of them like circuit judges versus the Supreme Court. In this process, one would have to utter a list of negative confessions before them, like a version of never have I ever, except losing meant permadeath. Here, the heart believed to contain the essence of a person's deeds and thoughts was placed on one side of a scale, while the feather of Ma'at was placed on the other. If the heart was lighter than the feather, the soul was deemed pure and could proceed to the afterlife. If heavier, the soul was handed over to Ammit, a terrifying chimeric monster with the head of a crocodile, the body of a lion, and the hindquarters of a hippopotamus. In my novel, The Place We All Go, I say she's a business in the front, party in the back kind of lady. Getting devoured by Ammit is ostensibly no fun. After all, getting eaten and condemned to eternal annihilation really isn't my kind of holiday. And I'm guessing probably not yours either. But for those who successfully navigated the Duat and passed the weighing of the heart, the ultimate reward awaited. Entrance to the field of reeds, or Aru. This paradise was a mirror of the idolized Egyptian life, a fertile land where souls lived in peace, reunited with loved ones, and surrounded by abundance. It was a place of eternal harmony, free from suffering and chaos, where the soul could dwell in the presence of the gods and garden to one's heart's content. Think of it as the ultimate cottagecore. For the Egyptians, the afterlife was not only a reward, but a testament to their enduring faith in Ma'at. This journey through the Duat reflected their profound understanding of life's fragility and the importance of balance, morality, and perseverance. What the Egyptian afterlife does reveal is a worldview deeply intertwined with morality, justice, and cosmic harmony. The Duat wasn't merely a destination, it was a trial, a proving ground where the soul demonstrated its worthiness to join the eternal cycle of life. This intricate and symbolic view of the afterlife resonates even today, offering timeless lessons about the value of living a balanced and virtuous life. After our first break, we'll venture north to the cold, shadowy realm of Hel in Norse mythology and explore how another culture envisioned the afterlife's trials and rewards. Hey there, listeners. Just taking a quick pause to thank you for joining us on Drinking in the Duat. If you're enjoying the journey so far, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It helps us bring more mythological tales to light. And if you've got a story or a question you'd like us to explore, reach out at show@drinkingintheduat.com or connect with us on social media. Now, let's dive back into the mythos. Before the break, we were talking about two of the most well-known afterlife myths, the Grecian Hades and the Egyptian Duat. Now, the afterlife isn't a one-size-fits-all concept. Different cultures have imagined realms of the dead in ways that reflect their unique values, beliefs, and fears. From the frozen halls of the Norse underworld to the layered depths of the Aztec Mictlan and the reincarnation cycle of Hinduism. These varied visions showcase humanity's complex relationship with mortality. Let's take a look at how these cultures interpreted the journey beyond life, starting with the Norse. More recently thrust into the spotlight due to widely regarded shows like Vikings, Marvel's Loki, and Ragnarok, or video games like Valheim and the Hellblade series, we find the Norse afterlife deeply tied to the manner of one's death. Warriors who fell in battle were rewarded with a place in Valhalla, a grand hall presided over by Odin, where they trained and feasted in preparation for Ragnarok, the final battle. It was an honor to die a warrior's death and join the ranks of the Einherjar, Odin's chosen fighters. For those who didn't die in battle, their souls journeyed to Hel, the underworld. This realm was not a place of punishment, but a cold, shadowy expanse for those who died of sickness, old age, or other non-heroic means. Hel, the daughter of Loki, ruled over this domain. She was depicted as a grim figure, half beautiful and half decayed, embodying the duality of life and death. Hel maintained order in her domain, ensuring that the dead remained in their rightful place. Unlike the Greek and Egyptian afterlives, the Norse didn't emphasize moral judgment. Instead, it reflected a culture deeply rooted in heroism and the inevitability of fate, also known as weird, albeit that word has a much different denotation in modern English, all based on how one lived and died, which determined their afterlife. The next stop on our double-decker tour is that of the Aztec Mictlan. In Aztec mythology, the afterlife was a grueling journey through Mictlan, a 9-layered underworld ruled by the fearsome couple Mictlantecuhtli and Mictlantecuhtli. Like the Norse, the Aztecs believed that the soul's destination was determined not by one's moral actions, but also by the manner of their death. Mictlan was the final resting place for most people, but reaching it wasn't easy. The journey required souls to traverse 9 perilous layers, facing challenges such as crossing rivers, climbing mountains of obsidian blades, and navigating through winds that carried knives. These trials were symbolic of the hardships of life and the perseverance needed to overcome them. Once a soul reached the 9th layer, they found eternal rest under the watchful gaze of Mictlantecuhtli, the skeletal god of the dead, and his wife Mictlantecuhtli, the guardian of ancestral bones. Mictlan reflects the Aztec worldview, where life was cyclical, death was part of that cycle, and the afterlife mirrored the struggles of existence. And our last step on our tour, before we take some time to analyze the meaning and impact of the afterlife on our daily lives, is that of Hinduism. Here we find the afterlife intrinsically linked to the concept of samsara, the cyclical nature of birth, death, and rebirth. You may know it as reincarnation. Unlike the static afterlife realms of other cultures, Hinduism views death as a transition in an ongoing journey. This cycle of reincarnation is governed by karma, the moral consequences of one's actions. Almost everyone has heard of the concept of karma at least once in their life. For Hindus, Yama, the god of death, serves as the judge of souls. After death, a soul appears before Yama, who determines their next incarnation or liberation based on their accumulated karma. Liberation, or moksha, is the ultimate goal, a release from the cycle of samsara and union with the divine, or Brahman, the underlying source of the universe. The Hindu afterlife emphasizes the importance of living a righteous life, not for the sake of punishment or reward, but as a means of spiritual growth and eventual liberation. It reflects a deeply philosophical approach, where death is not an end, but a step on the path to enlightenment. Despite their differences amongst these underworlds, the afterlife concepts share some universal themes. We, as souls, almost always face a journey and trials where we are ultimately weighed and measured. Now, whether it's battling a pep in the Egyptian Duat or climbing the obsidian mountains of Mictlan, the afterlife often involves challenges that mirror life struggles. Once through the 4-layer, the soul meets its judge, from Yama's karmic evaluation to the weighing of the heart in Egyptian mythology. Many cultures emphasize moral accountability in death. And at the end, we can no longer run from the shadows of our mistakes. The last shared concept is that of cyclical transformation. The Aztecs and the Hindus both highlight death as part of a larger cycle, whether it's the endless movement of life or the journey towards spiritual liberation. These diverse visions remind us that the afterlife, in its many forms, is not just about what happens after death, but about how we choose to live. Next, we'll explore the deeper universal themes that bind these myths together and how they continue to resonate with us today. In part 3, we'll analyze the variances between the different beliefs and their impact as a whole on the human psyche. Now that we know the commonalities, what does this say about us as human beings? Across cultures, the underworld and the afterlife often reveal deep truths about human values, fears, and aspirations as mortals. While specific details vary, certain universal themes emerge, highlighting shared concerns about morality, mortality, and the unknown. In many myths, the afterlife is not merely a destination, but a journey fraught with tests and trials. These challenges often mirror the difficulties faced in life, serving as a metaphor for personal growth and transformation. In the Egyptian Duat, the soul must navigate through gates, overcome chaos embodied by a pep, and face the ultimate judgment in the Hall of Two Truths. Likewise, the Aztec Mictlan demands perseverance through 9 layers of obstacles, representing a soul's endurance. Even in Greek mythology, where some souls simply wander the asphodel meadows, heroes like Odysseus and Aeneas must undertake perilous descents into Hades, called a katabasis, emphasizing the journey as a rite of passage. This theme reflects the human belief that life's challenges prepare us for greater trials, and only by facing them can we achieve ultimate peace or transcendence. Even if we make it through the trials, we still have to be weighed and measured, a stock taken in all that we chose to accomplish or failed to do. The concept of moral judgment in the afterlife underscores humanity's universal concern with justice and accountability. This concept alone could be several episodes unto itself. In Egypt, the weighing of the heart ceremony ensures that the soul adheres to Ma'at, the divine order. A heart heavy with wrongdoing is devoured by Ammit, erasing the soul from existence. Hinduism's karmic system ties one's actions in life to their reincarnation or eventual liberation, making morality an ongoing cosmic cycle. Even in the Greek underworld, Tartarus is reserved for the wicked, while Elysium rewards the virtuous. These systems of judgment remind us that actions have consequences, both in life and beyond. But we couldn't get to the next place on our journey without the help of various underworld guardians and psychopomps. Myths often feature these figures as those who guide, protect, or control access to the afterlife. Whether top dogs or middle managers, these guardians and psychopomps symbolize the barriers between life and death, as well as the need for assistance in navigating this transition. Charon, the ferryman of Hades, ensures that only those with proper burial rites cross the Styx, whereas Anubis, with his jackal head, safeguards the soul's journey into the Duat and oversees the weighing of the heart alongside Osiris and Thoth. In Norse mythology, Hel maintains the order of her cold domain, while in Hinduism, Yama judges souls and directs their reincarnation. These figures remind us of the importance of burial rites, traditions, and guides in crossing the threshold between worlds. Ensuring that the dead make it to their next destination is tantamount to most other procedures across the world. Disturbing or defiling the dead is very often against the law, and most religions as well. It's taboo for a reason. You would want your soul or that of a loved one's to be able to reach its final resting place. But these worlds are complicated, just as much as those who guard them. Most cultures balance the afterlife with a dichotomy of paradise and punishment, reflecting societal values and moral frameworks. The Field of Reeds, in Egyptian belief, offers a paradise mirroring an idealized version of life for those who live righteously. In contrast, Ammit's jaws await those who fail Ma'at's test. The Greeks envision Elysium as a realm of eternal bliss and Tartarus as a place of torment, symbolizing the stark contrast of one's choices. Even Norse mythology contrasts the glory of Valhalla with the bleakness of Hell, though these realms depend on one's manner of death rather than moral virtue. These divisions reflect the universal human hope for reward and fear of retribution in the afterlife, driving individuals to live according to their society's ideals. And it's those ideals that are deeply woven into their respective cultures and quite often diffuse into others given enough time. The way cultures envision the afterlife often reflects societal values, geography, and historical context. Over time, these ideas evolve, thus influencing and being influenced by neighboring traditions. Afterlife beliefs reveal what societies value most. It shows us who we are on a deeper level. The ancient Egyptian focus on Ma'at reflects a civilization deeply concerned with balance, justice, and cosmic order. The Norse emphasis on Valhalla highlights a warrior culture that prizes bravery and heroism. Hindu reincarnation aligns with the importance of dharma, duty, and karma, action, in maintaining spiritual progress. But these different explorations of our afterlives aren't just limited to the values we hold dear. They also show us the role geography takes when cultures imagine the afterlife. The Greeks' reliance on rivers for trade and travel likely inspired the Styx and its role as a boundary between worlds. The Nile, Egypt's lifeline, mirrors the soul's journey through the Duat, with its challenges echoing the natural barriers of the desert and river. Mictlan's layered structure may reflect the mountainous terrain of Central America and the Aztec reverence for the cosmos' stratified divisions. While many of the ancient beliefs are no longer widely practiced to the extent they once were, many ancient concepts persist in modern religions, though they've evolved. Nowadays, the Christian heaven and hell bear traces of both Greek and Mesopotamian influences. Spiritualism and reincarnation in modern Hinduism and Buddhism continue to emphasize moral accountability. That hasn't gone anywhere. The fascination with purgatory, ghosts, and liminal spaces reflects a human desire to understand the in-between states of existence. Each of these myths continue to impact us worldwide and in a myriad of ways. Though these myths are thousands of years old, they continue to inspire modern art, literature, and even video games. The afterlife remains a topic of fascination in contemporary culture, finding new life in books, films, and other media. Across the seasons of the show, we'll touch base on the influences, taking a deeper dive from time to time. Percy Jackson and the Olympians brings Hades and the Underworld into a modern setting, while Dante Alighieri's La Divina Commedia remains a touchstone for Western depictions of hell. Movies like Coco explore themes of family and remembrance in the afterlife, inspired by Mesoamerican traditions. The hit video game Hades reimagines Greek mythology with a fresh, humanizing perspective, while Assassin's Creed Origins explores the Egyptian Duat as part of its historical narrative. These stories continue to fascinate us today. As humans, it's normal to be curious and seek answers. Sometimes that curiosity takes us into the paranormal and the spiritual, rather than the religious. Modern spiritualism often draws from ancient beliefs. Near-death experiences where people report tunnels of light or reunions with loved ones echo the journeys described in myths like the Duat or Mictlan. Ghost stories and hauntings reflect a lingering belief in souls caught between worlds, unable to fully transition. These interpretations show how myths adapt to contemporary context while keeping their core themes intact. Underworld myths, whether ancient or modern, reflect humanity's ongoing quest to understand what lies beyond death. They are stories about morality, justice, and transformation, reminders that life and death are inextricably linked. These myths resonate today because they explore universal questions. What happens after we die? How do our actions define us? Is there more to existence than what you see? As you consider the tales of Hades, the Duat, and other afterlife realms, take a moment to reflect on your own beliefs. What do these stories reveal about us as a species, and what might they say about you? Thank you for joining me on this journey through the shadows. Until next time, may your path be guided by light, and may Ma'at's feather weigh lightly on your heart. And so another chapter comes to an end. But the stories don't just stop here. The myths, the legends, and the questions, they follow us, waiting to be uncovered, waiting to be understood. Thank you for joining us on the journey. If you've enjoyed exploring the depths of mythology, folklore, and the threads of belief that bind us, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share the story with others. Until next time, remember, the answers lie not in the light or in the shadow, but in the spaces between. Keep asking questions, keep seeking meaning, and above all, keep the stories alive.